What's going on, guys? Reaper here, and welcome to Reaper Declassified. This is episode 6 of the Project 69 GTO War Angel, and in this episode we're going to be building some custom metal interior panels. Alright, I know what most of you guys are thinking. Why in the world would I take the time to make interior panels or really do anything interior related when obviously the rest of the vehicle is in more need of repair than, well, making essentially a specialty item? To be honest with you guys, this is a problem I've struggled with for most of my life. I'm one of those types of people that, well, if I get an idea in my head, I need to go ahead and do it or start on it. Otherwise, it goes on the back burner and I forget about it, or I'll think about it constantly until I do something on it, or it just doesn't come out the way that I'd probably want it to. Because as it's fresh for me, then it gives me that excitement of doing it and getting it done. But I also have a super major problem with multitasking, and the reason for that is I feel like if I'm not doing multiple things, especially on a project, then I'm not getting enough done. I'm not making progress. When in reality, if I would just focus on that one thing, see it through to the end, I'd probably be making more progress and a lot quicker than I would by jumping around from one thing to the next. And from day one when I started on this project, I had a bad habit of jumping from one thing to the next. For example, while I was working on the A-pillars, I was also working on the firewall. And while I was working on the firewall, I was working on the floor, the boxing, and of course putting in the roll bar. And while I was doing all that, I was rebuilding the window channel and the sail panel. And in between all of that, I was also building, well, door panels and various other things that went into the interior. Since starting this project and subsequently putting it on the back burner, I've gotten a lot better at finishing singular things and following them through to the end. Now, I still multitask on various things, but, you know, realistically as humans, sometimes we just can't get around that. But this gives you guys pretty good insight and an explanation as to why a lot of stuff on this project is 95% done as opposed to 100%, and that's just because I was jumping back and forth, possibly sometimes even working on 4 or 5 things at one time. So we started with the rear seat divider panel first. And as you can see, there's a ton of rivets in this thing. And the reason for that is that I really wanted an aircraft style look. And as most of you guys know, if you've looked at an airplane or a helicopter, especially something military like, you see tons of rivets in it. That's how they put it all together. So I wanted that theme with the panels in this car. So my best friend Fat Tony came out and helped me with probably what is the most redneck template that we've ever made on this thing to go all the way around.
We've got Matthew back out here welding, and special guest star that we haven't seen in forever, Fat Tony.
What's up?
Anyway, what we're doing here, since we're on a standstill for the judge, we're making a template for this rear package tray and seat divider. We're going to get that cut out and start riveting that in. Just got done hand sanding this thing with 80 grit and then 600 grit. Got it all cleaned up, so I'm going to put it in a matte clear for now. And if I decide later, I can still paint it. But as of right now, I want to keep it from rusting. So I've got me a trunk Tony.
Hey.
Yeah, it's like a trunk monkey, but it's a trunk Tony. Got Bano Clicoed in for now. I got to take it out and touch up one little corner over here and grind down a little bit of the welds around the bar from where I welded it to seat divider panel and package tray. Holes going that way and up around the actual original pattern of the high spots on seat divider panel. So gonna be a ton of rivets in it. I think it'll look pretty neat when I get the package tray done, made. I'll put a lip on it and then rivet it across. I'm going to put more rivets in this corner and come around this edge here on both sides.
And then we moved on to the door panels, which is probably the easiest thing I have made for this entire build. So the way that I did this is I actually took the original inner quarter door panel and took all the vinyl and everything off because it was already rotted, falling apart.
Now the originals had the steel backing plate at the top to give that curve and everything. I think the newer reproduction ones, at least most of the ones I've seen, are all plastic up here.
Made a template to come down and around and cover this whole section. And then I used a specialty tool, which is a flanging and hole punch tool, which was perfect because then you can get this little step that I made into this panel here come all the way across and pop pretty much all the holes, and then was able to rivet all the way across. And we did that with both sides.
Looks like this one's a little bit rougher than the other one. A little more pitting, a little more rust, a little more decay, especially down here where it met with the cardboard and the vinyl and all that jive. Up here and up here is pretty good. Like I said, just some pitting. I don't know, I might take a wire wheel to it, and I might even just kind of leave all that pitting in there. Just probably what I'll do is I'll use interior screws, kind of like what I did in the Chevelle, instead of actually riveting the door panel to, the vehicle. It just a hell of a lot easier if you want to get off there. As you can see, still got to do some cleaning up. I'll do pretty much the same thing I did with rear seat divider panel, but yeah, I'm trying to get all this pitting out of here and shine it up, and then spray it a clear as well. I'll leave the stamping numbers in it and maybe highlight them or something. Gives it kind of a little bit more of an aircraft look. I'm gonna tear this one apart over here, get it all sanded down, and get this panel finished. As you can see, I've already kind of sanded down the lower portion of the panel that I've cut out. I went ahead and used my sheet metal flanging tool and put a lip in both of the lower, or the second half of the panel that I cut out, to go ahead and rivet it. That way it's smooth, straight across, and add strength to it. I got these all sprayed. Got runs in that one because I didn't lay it flat when I painted it, but not a big deal. Got to wet sand them both. Have just enough paint to probably finish that one. So anyway, here's kind of an idea of how they're going to look in the car. Especially with all the rivets, and then when I come down the side here, thread the rivets, it'll kind of tie into the rest of the whole riveted theme. Like I said, I'm not going to actually rivet these to the car itself like I did that panel. I might add more rivets into the actual overlay of it, following the pattern behind it, but not actually riveting it to the car. Like I said, I'm going to use probably interior sheet metal screws that they use in some of these, that little flat rounded washer. That way I can take the panels off anytime I need to get in the inner quarter there. There's always going to be a need for that. Maybe change the Lexan out or whatever. You never know. It's just nice to be able to remove those panels. That's not a big deal there. Obviously, that's something that doesn't need to come out. As far as doors, I'm still looking for a pair of doors. There's a page on the book face, and that I put a message out there and told guys that I'm looking for a pair of 69 doors. I guess I could take one of the inner door panels off of this, since I've got a steel part for door panel that came off of a 69 Chevelle. Those door panels are pretty much shot, so I can use the steel out of them and make the same type of the panels of the quarters in it. So that's another project that I got to work on, and I can have them made, but as far as fitting them, that won't be for a while, not until I get the doors anyway. That's what I'm trying to do, is get as much as I can done and made, so when this thing starts actually going together, I've got all the pieces and everything I need to go ahead and knock it out.
And that's why there's a custom metal interior for this thing before there's even doors or the bodywork's even done on this thing.